Modern video games have no soul. It's something we've all heard. We've all seen the memes of soul versus soulless. Give you a couple chuckles. Maybe it's a sad thought, but we've accepted it. That games have lost their artistic value due to having 1,000-man teams with no connection to each other, being driven by a group of suits who have probably never even played a video game before. This isn't to say that games have all of a sudden become products. Games have always been made to make money, but at some point, making a better game with more love stopped making more money. At least that's what I had believed for a long time. But it's not like literally every single video game made today has no soul. Once in a blue moon, a game will come out that has true love poured into it, and it does sell well. It does better with 1/100th of the budget, with marketing that is basically free because everyone shouts from the rooftops when they find something that has any artistic merit at all. So if games sell better with a lower budget when it has a soul, then why don't we see it more often? Why aren't they spending $100 million to try and inject a soul into the big budget AAA games? Because it's not like you can't make a AAA game and it have a soul. There was a time where every AAA game had artistic merit, where you could see the developer in the game. So it can be done. It is possible, so why not? I truly believe the developers are incapable because they themselves don't have a soul anymore. And before I defend something that sounds completely insane, make sure to subscribe. So I've been saying the word soul a whole lot, but I should probably define it. To me, it seems absurd to even ask, but I've seen so much confusion on this, I might as well explain it. It really shouldn't need to be explained because you should have one. How do you explain to the blind what it means to see? You can't. So it's just as impossible to explain to the soulless what it means to have a soul. So I'll assume the confusion stems from what it means to give an object, or in this case an art piece, a soul. There are really two independent ways of doing this. One is you place a piece of yourself within the art. Because you yourself have a soul, by putting yourself into the art piece, you're putting a piece of your soul into it. And do that enough times from enough people, and in combination, now the art piece has its own soul. And two, you treat the game as if it's a living thing, that it is its own complete object, that it has desires and a purpose, that you do things for the sake of the art, in and of itself. And these two things are naturally opposed to each other. One is to make something of yourself, and the other is to make something individual and separate from yourself. And I'm sure all of this sounds like nonsense at the moment. That's why normally when people compare soul versus soulless, they just use examples, because it's something we can all instantly see, as long as you have a soul, that is, which seems to have gotten rarer. All right, let's start with one. What does it really mean to put a part of yourself into something? I think the most obvious example of this is the self-insert character. And be aware, when I say something has soul, I don't necessarily mean it's good. In fact, oftentimes it makes something bad. It is far easier to not care and make something mediocre than to really try and potentially fail. So when you look at things made by teenagers, they may be bad, but they are full of soul because they literally put all of themselves into what they're making. And I know when you look at this kind of stuff, your first emotional response is to cringe. And that's the first piece as to why everything has lost its soul. It's embarrassment, it's fear. When you make literally anything, you're putting it up to be ridiculed. So when you put a piece of yourself into something, when that thing is ridiculed, now you as a person are being ridiculed. So these limp dick fucks who are afraid of showing the world what they are intentionally create products that they have no connection toward. The amount of comments I have received that I need to chill out, that it's not that serious, bro. Are you fucking with me? Everything's serious. You should care about everything. If you don't care, then shut the fuck up. And that has to do with everything, especially art. If you don't care, then curl up in your bed, sit there, and starve. Okay, so you can literally put yourself into the game, but most of us agree that it generally doesn't make a good thing. Like, it turns out bad most of the time. But there are other ways of putting yourself into what you make. The extremely obvious way that you would think everyone would do, yet is so rare nowadays, is to just put what you like into the thing. It is baffling how how rare it is for me to play something and think, wow, the author must have really thought this was cool. I mean, where are the big tits? We all like big tits. I'm tired of people pretending like they don't like big boobs. These impotent freaks who are like, oh, if you want to see boobs, just watch porn. I want to see boobs all of the time. I don't have to be jerking off. I just like them. They look good. And it's clearly fucking performative because even women like boobs. There's been studies about it. Even they like looking at boobs. Everyone does. They just look good. So I know you're fucking lying to me that you're intentionally taking yourself out of the art piece when you make a character and they're ugly because no one likes looking at ugly shit. You know my last video on Heartbound, that obviously soulless garbage? However, there is one comment that I kept getting over and over again saying at least the art is good. And that's because the artist was a furry artist. And if there's one thing that furries truly love, it's drawing their stupid little animal characters. So people can immediately tell that there was care put into the art, that the artist actually loved what they were doing because they were making furry shit. Instead, with these AAA shit slop games, you get people intentionally making things they don't like. And maybe it's because they were told to, maybe there's some sort of agenda they're trying to push, or maybe they just don't fucking care. And the sad thing is, you see this in indie games too. Originally, indie games didn't just use the pixel art style out of necessity. It was for a genuine love for the style, and they were sad that it didn't exist anymore. That games were made for decades with pixels, and they looked great, and now you're only getting 3D shit. So when they made a game with a pixel art style, it's because they loved the style and they missed it. Now the pixel art style is more likely to drive people away from a game than it is to bring people in. And it's because they know that it's not being done out of care or love, that it's being done because they have to, that they can't hire an artist or they can't waste the time. And the new thing is the PS1 style. Originally, it was done from missing the style, of having nostalgia for it, of really actually liking how those games look. Now you see 100 PS1 horror games that are all just made because there are a ton of free assets for it and it's easy to work with. And the visuals is only the beginning. How many clone games do you see now? Look at the Metroidvania. The first indie Metroidvanias were made because Metroid wasn't getting games anymore. Castlevania wasn't getting games anymore, and people missed it. They created their own because something they love was gone. Now there are literally hundreds of Metroidvanias that come out every year, and no one's buying them. Only the best of the best are getting bought because no one wants to play the same game but with less love and less care. For the love of God, we literally have clones of clones at this point, and all you have to do to separate yourself is to put a piece of yourself into it. Blasphemous did incredibly well, and there is literally nothing mechanically unique about that game. In fact, generally it's worse than others in its genre for being extremely jank. But just look at how fucking cool it is. You could just tell they had a genuine love for their own culture. That blood and gore is something they just think is neat, and they put it in there because they liked it. That's another thing that's been completely sanitized from modern games is gore. Gore is cool. We like gore. It's not fucking real. Nobody's actually getting hurt. It's a video game. And if you've noticed something, if you've been putting the puzzle pieces together, gore, boobs, self-inserts, all of these things are things teenagers like. How many times has something been made fun of for being for teenagers? Because these carton-empty, dipshit, highly educated fucking losers, no kids, no purpose, no family, no fucking love. Yeah, you're better than a teenager. You know what's cool. You think you know. You should be ashamed, not of what you like, but what you're afraid to like. What you've always liked, because that's the thing. Teenagers think boobs and blood are cool. Everyone thinks boobs and blood are cool. It's fucking pathetic losers who are afraid of being ridiculed because they've never accomplished anything. As soon as you separate yourself from what you do or make, you are a fucking ant. You're an insect. You're like, well, the pheromones say, the queen said to do this, so I know I want to do it, but the pheromones say. We can tell. Everyone can tell. You make shit art when you take yourself out of it. You have no fucking soul. You are a bug. I know that last section was a bit harsh, but I do understand some of this is just impossible with how games are made now. When you have teams of over 1,000 making a game, it's really impossible for an individual to make their mark on the piece unless they're like the game director. I don't think it's a coincidence that the greatest games were made with teams under 50, and that includes the modern day. Anyway, since putting yourself into the game is impossible sometimes, especially if you yourself don't have a soul, which is incredibly common now. There is another way to inject soul into a game. By treating your creation like your child, you are giving it a soul like a child would have. But what the fuck does that mean? Well, at the center of it is the things I've been repeating this entire video. It's about love and care. It's about treating every individual piece of the game as if it's important, because it is important. Again, it is much easier to illustrate this through example. I think by far the best example of this is Stuart Copeland in Spyro the Dragon. Stuart Copeland made the music for the Spyro the Dragon trilogy, and he was not a video game composer. He made regular music in a regular band, and he is a good musician. He easily could have just made music the same way he always has, and Spyro would have a great soundtrack. But Spyro the Dragon has one of the greatest soundtracks of any video game ever, because instead of making music how you would for literally anything else, Stuart Copeland, despite never making game music before, knew that games were special. And when he made the music for the game, he made sure to play the levels that the music not only fit the level design, but fit how you would play through the level, had the same rhythm of how you would play the game. That's what I mean by care. That's what I mean by treat it like it's an individual. You do not make something great. You don't make something beautiful by making it the same way that you would do everything else. You give it special attention and you do what is best for it. It's love. You have to really care about what you're doing to evaluate the product you're making and do what's best for it. None of this fucking bug shit of, oh, well, the chart says, the pheromones say, and the queen said. No, you do what's best for the game, and at any sacrifice. You put secrets in a game, not because every single player will see it, not because it's extremely efficient for dev time. You put secrets in a game because it fills the world, because it's best for the game. That games are better when they have a sense of wonder. It shows care because we know it's not efficient. We feel special when we see it because we know we might be the only person to have found it, that not everyone is going to have the exact same experience. Honestly, what made me want to make this video is I watched a reaction to my Heartbound video from a supposed game developer. I have to say supposed because given the pirate software drama, you never fucking know at this point. And they said the code doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Are you fucking with me? Of course it matters. It all matters. If you're making something you love, everything should matter. It's all important. Can you imagine if you're having a child and the doctor's like, hey, you should take some zinc or the baby's spine might grow wrong. And then you say, oh, that doesn't matter because they're going to be an accountant. They can just sit in a chair all day. They don't need a straight spine. Are you insane? The very foundation of the game doesn't matter? I mean, first of all, I have the strangest feeling this person has never coded anything ever. Just a guess, though. But the problems of that game literally stem from the code being bad. The reason why it has shitty minigames and no combat in it is because he can't do it. He doesn't have the coding skills to make anything better. And he can't make anything better because he doesn't fucking care. The gameplay is soulless because he doesn't care about coding and he doesn't care about the gameplay. It has no love. If he cared, he would have learned to code better, but he didn't. Over 8 years, he never learned because he doesn't care. And this is all over the industry. Games don't run well because they don't care. They don't care that they run bad. Honestly, Pirate Software should have just made a furry porn game, because at least then he would have cared about it. It would have been done in half the time, half the budget, and be twice as good. When making a good product isn't the priority, you end up with soulless dog shit. and it's not the priority for almost anyone anymore. For developers, the priority is getting the job done as quickly as possible so you don't have to crunch. And for the higher ups, it's about advancing in the company or making more money off your investments, or even worse, it's about sending a fucking message that is the worst of the worst. Just like the most fucked up kid is the one whose parents turn them into a fucked up vehicle for their own obsessions, the worst, most soulless games are the ones meant to push a message, where the point of the product is not to make something good. It's not even to make something that they would like. It's about propaganda and showing the world how good of a person they are, how above they are of everyone else, which is truly incredible because I can't think of a lower form of life than something that doesn't have a fucking soul. The problem with making something that you actually care about and you want to be good is you have to know who you're making it for, and you have to actually like those people. The game developers of today hate gamers. They're literally tell you they hate you. They put things in games intentionally just to piss gamers off. And even worse, most of them don't even like games, let alone the people who play them. Part of the problem with putting soul into art is that the two methods of doing so are diametrically opposed. Sometimes making something good, treating the game as an individual, means you have to take yourself out of it. If you are a writer for movies and you like movies and you write the game like it's a movie, it's going to be soulless dog shit because you're not treating the game like it's a game. Spyro's music is so good because it's a traditional musician who made video game music for the video game. He didn't make regular music that he's used to making, but these piece of shit millennial writers will write for games the same way they would write for a movie, and it ends up as dog shit. It's funny that whenever you see someone adapt the source material, like you have a movie on a book or a show on a video game, and they say, well, we want to take it in our own direction, you immediately know it's going to be bad because you have to do both. You have to do both. You can't just put yourself into it. You also have to treat the thing like it's its own thing, like it's its own individual. You don't force your kid to be a football star if he's a fucking pansy who likes to dance. But they can't do that. They can't take themselves out of it because they're self-centered, soulless fucks who have been taught their entire life that they matter, that only what they care about is what matters. And then when they fail, because they have no fucking soul, they don't think to themselves that they've fucked up, that they've messed up in some way. No, they think the gamers are wrong, and then they hate you even more. So the next game is even more soulless, has even less care, has even less love, and is even more dog shit. But it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Why do you care? It's not a big deal, lil bro. Why are you proud of being pathetic and weak, of not caring about anything, of being so fucking afraid of being ridiculed that you can't admit you like something? It's pathetic. I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about anything I do except for my dog, and my dog thinks I'm the greatest guy in the fucking universe. You know what I really play? What I'm actually playing? It's not these AAA shit games, and it's not even the indie games that are all clones of each other. It's fan games. I play fan games. I play Pokemon ROM hacks. I play Super Mario 64 ROM hacks. I play extremely obscure 2chan RPG Maker games. That's what I play. Because if you take away all the monetary incentive, all that's left is soul. The only reason to make something, if you can't make any money, is because you love it, because you want to be doing it. And they're forced to have small teams because you're not going to get 150 people to work for free. So instead, you have 10 people working very closely together for years and years and years, and only out of love. And sure, it can be really cringy sometimes, and the art isn't always the greatest, but at least I know that they did it out of love, that someone actually thought this was cool, that it's in the game because they wanted it to be there, that they care so very deeply and want so very bad for the game to be good because they've been working on it for 10 years. Pokemon Elite Redux is a Pokemon game where every guy has 4 different abilities, and it's complete nonsense. It has no balance whatsoever. There are guys that are literally invincible, but they did it because it was cool. They thought it would be cool, and it is. I'm tired of playing things that aren't cool just one time. Could I have something that's interesting in any way? I have long since stopped caring if something was objectively good. There are enough old good games that you would never have to play a new game ever again. You would never run out of 10 out of 10s to play. So something being good or competent isn't good enough anymore. I want to experience real art. I guess all I'm trying to say is, next time you're out in public and someone gives you the zoomer stare, that dead-eyed bug look, you can think to yourself, that's not a people. So as I've said before, go out, make some fan games, play some fan games. Every time you download a ROM, you're taking money directly out of Nintendo's pockets, which is good. So subscribe to Lord Frogmire, and goodbye.